don't have to be successful on everything. Just like the way they say, not everybody has to love you.
You're already dropping wisdom. What type of a student were you in class?
In student, of course, for me, it's more of a focus. Whenever I focused, I performed very well. Whenever I joked, I flopped. And when we went on a first date, she came with her 5 friends. Sema kupigwa dent.
I have never understood this thing of 5 friends. Your first date, she came with 5 friends.
5. This is now when I used to visit her. I used to make these nice chapatis. Kwa hivyo nikapata na kukula chapati. I'm still eating chapatis 22 years later.
Pana siko Inange, ni Monrovia Street. Imagine you opposite Kemi University, iko karibu na University Towers. At the same time imeangaliana na wapi? Imeangaliana pale na Alliance Francaise. Na unajua sema ni watch umekuwa kusema Ofweneke mazina nataka place boy kwa duka yangu, nataka kuka mpaka ofisi zangu ama ofisi probably ya real estate or something, kuja nikushow mahali papoa. Come nikushow. Unakafua hapo, ni kafua, so unaweza shuka chini utafute chuo unaingia ndani. Cheki vile nimefurahia. Even the customers watakuwa kwa happy. Wacha unani salme umse wa cleaning. Haya tuingie sasa. Check, look at how the place is. You. Imagine hii space yote ni wewe ndio inatekea. And this space is available to set up any kind of business. Whatever is on your mind, whatever is hitting you up, whatever you've been thought of putting up, whatever kind of a business, this space is beautifully set up just to suit your idea of a business. Alafu mwazi, clean toilets available. Mimi nakwambia clean toilets juu mimi mwenyewe nimezitumia. Imagine then the anchor client, simekona shapo down kwa lift, the anchor client is Carrefour, meaning the traffic of clients and people coming in and out of this mall are just too many. Clients and customers ni wengi. Alafu guess what? This is the good news that you've been waiting for. No goodwill is actually required. Hakuna story ya goodwill, and iko ready for occupation right now. Security iko bien, cleaning iko bien, kila kitu iko sorted. Contact iko hapa chini sahi. Come and set up your business here. This is the beginning of your success. Bigger kuja chukua place. Sawa. And of course, karibuni sana, welcome ladies and gentlemen. Of course, this is Lessons at 30. I am very emotional, overwhelmed, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. I just want to say I send up so much love to each and every single person. We have grown our page. We are now more than 100,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, Dr.Ofweneke TV. And it's not something I take for granted. I just want to say on behalf of my team, my production crew at Pro Studios, and of course even my team at 91 Degrees Production, we just want to say asante sana to each and every single person, to the new subscribers, to the family, asanteni sana. We hope that you find Lessons at 30 as a home of therapy, as a home of inspiration, as a home of motivation, as a push for you to want to become a better person, even as a mom, as a father, as a son, as a daughter, as a woman, as a man, as an investor, as a creative content creator, whichever way. I hope that this show continues growing you. I hope that this show continues planting a seed in you, that there are people who you're watching, who you admire them, you aspire to be like them, and they have probably gone through the same things that you are going, the kind of challenges that I don't believe in problems, I believe in challenges. And some of these challenges they were able to overcome and play it cool, and for them to get to where they are today. I want to say a big appreciation to all my guests that we hosted on season 1, Lessons at 30. Kidum, Willis Raburu, and the rest of them all. And even the biggest of them all, the biggest story that we had on the Lessons at 30. And that was our biggest, Jackie Matubia. And she talked matters about single moms and trauma and healing from rejection. And I just want to say, a lot of lives were touched, and I keep on meeting from whoever, who's, from the lowest of house managers, mama fuas, to the highest of top corporate managers, ladies, who tell me, Dr. Ofweneke, you spoke to us. That show spoke to us, and that is the whole ideal about Lessons of 30. And I keep on telling my friends, and I keep on telling people who are watching, this is not a place to come and collect tea. Bloggers, I want to appreciate it, and all the bloggers from Nairobi Gossip, SPM Bars, Celebrity, Kenya Bars, and the rest of them all who I might have forgotten to mention you. Asanteni Sana, Tuko, Pulse, you guys are the reason why Lessons is growing. Thanks so much for taking the sensible content, not gossip, the sensible content, and pushing it. Even when I don't talk to you, I don't DM you guys, I don't call you, but you guys, out of goodwill and out of favor, you guys have been able to be part of the show. Asante, I just want to say a big appreciation. And I also want my production crew to cut this part and just post it up for all the bloggers and all the content creators and all online news agencies. This is a big appreciation to you guys. You guys make this. And I just want to say asante and asante sana. Guys, it is episode 1, Lessons of 30. We are taking the game to the next level. I told you we're going to talk about matters of family, matters spirituality, matters business, matters investment, matters baby daddy, baby mama, matters law. We want to make sure that this show serves the purpose of making sure that we get better as a wholesome human. And that is what the show is all about. Today, this gentleman, we follow each other, and of course I study what he does, and I'm like, this guy's doing amazing. And it's interesting now how we have found ourselves on Lessons of 30. He is one of the fastest rising moguls in the region, a top business mind, a top real estate expert, and of course he's a vision pusher in a few projects, from MySpace Properties to My Town, one of the most well built up, nice looking, well spaced out malls in current My Town, and of course also the visionary behind MySpace Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, first episode, season 2. Welcome on the show, the one and only Mr. Mwenda Thuranira. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Yes, thank
It
you for
is
having me.
such an honor, sir.
Uh-huh.
Nimekuona, and I want to appreciate the fact that I always see you. I know I have made a sensible post on the Instagram when I see you liking, and I'm like, hey, Leo nimeongea sense. See you like on this one.
Yeah.
I really do appreciate that.
Good.
It's the first time we're actually meeting, or I don't know if maybe you've seen me at an event, but this is the first time we're meeting.
No, we have met before.
We have.
We have.
Wapi?
Huko mausiku huko.
I like
Nitakwambia ni wapi.
Ilikuwa kesha. We were
Kesha.
doing overnight prayers. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate it. It's such an honor to have you here. You are doing tremendous. You are the new face of our generation, who are really big on matters wealth creation.
Yes.
And I want to believe this has just not started the other day.
Of course.
Hii ni kitu ambayo ilianza kitambo.
It's a lifetime commitment.
Where did all this begin? There must be something that pushes you to want to break out of a narrative, break out from a certain past.
Okay. Yes, of course, when it comes to matters real estate, since as an entrepreneur, I zeroed in on one particular area,
yes,
which is real estate. And it's out of interest from childhood. I like the creation kind of thing, whereby you see a piece of land, within a minute you see a foundation coming up, walls, roofing, furnishing, and people are living in. I mean, that's really excites me from when I was a kid up to now.
Nice. So the growth of it all.
Yes.
Huyu mtoto alikuwa wapi? Because you already mentioned as I was growing as a kid twice.
Yes.
Huyu mtoto, if you can picture him,
yes,
many years back.
Yes.
Where is he? What is he doing? What is he aspiring? What is he going through?
Of course, in business, there's ups and downs. I've been through many ups, many downs. And I mean, that's the nature of life. And they say, I mean, if you try 10 things and 7 work, you're good. If You try 10 things and 6 work. You're in good. You don't have to be successful on everything. Just like the way they say, not everybody has to love you.
You're already dropping wisdom. If you try 10 things
Yes.
and 5 or 6 succeed,
Yes.
you're doing good.
You don't have to beat yourself over the little spilt milk. You just have to keep moving, keep it fresh, keep the vision alive. You know, when you work on something with a clear vision of what you want,
Yes,
you never lose. And that's even nobody can steal from you.
Yes.
Your vision. So you just have to keep the focus, keep moving. And sometimes people may not even understand what you're doing because sometimes you cannot explain your vision so clearly. God has put it into you. So even to explain it is not that easy. You can see the end, but nobody else can. Even to convince somebody that this will work. Of course, you in your dreams, in your mind, you can see clear picture. Like my town, I started seeing it in my mind. My town, Karen, almost 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
6 years before the construction. So that's 8 years ago.
8 years.
8 years ago. I could see it clearly in my mind. Actualizing it, that's where it lies.
Let me ask, before you go to this now, the whole conceptualization of what you want to achieve, the properties you want to keep, and everything. You grew up in Kenya?
Yeah, I grew up in Kenya. Of course, I was born in Isiolo.
Isiolo?
Isiolo, grew up in Meru. So I grew up between Meru and Isiolo.
This whole time?
Yes.
How was it growing up there?
I think it was normal. It's chilled out. Went to 2 not well-known schools. Like, of course, not the Lenanas and the Mangus. But I went to Alliance to visit my cousin who was schooling there. So.
At least I went to Lenana to speak to the students. To speak to the students. To speak to the students.
Yeah.
So let me ask: when you were growing up around those schools? Because I guess guys think umse mazee vile amebuild hizi mavitu manze umse ni kama alipata a lot of aligrow Karen no wonder ameenda kubuild my town Karen. Hii Karen hata wewe mwenyewe umekuja kuiona juzi.
Yes, kweli.
Hii Isiolo ilikuwaje? Because that is why I'm interested. The growing up. Yes. Okay. The foundation of Mwenda Thuranira.
Yes, of course, growing up, my grandfather was in business for many years. Actually, he went to Isiolo in 1950.
1950.
And he was one of the instrumental people in founding the town Isiolo. So almost 30% of the Meru community who live in Isiolo is the one who brought them there. And now there are many, it's a big population. You know, Isiolo town is in between the Meru and Isiolo border.
Yes.
So he was doing their business from cattle. Watu walikuwa namletea ng'ombe kutoka huko kichakani. Then naye anaenda kutafuta market, nakuja wanalipa wanaleta. So that's how he ended up in business. Then he started the distribution of wholesale alcohol, KBL, now is EABL, East African Industries, which is now Unilever, and BAT. So he was the main distributor for the northern region.
That side.
So, and he used to also do construction, building, of course, in a smaller scale. And whenever he was going to site, I would really follow him since that was my interest from when I was a kid, maybe like 6 years. Actually, from 6 years.
Oof.
I used to know what is it in a building. I used to like that part of kokoto mixing, that part of the building, laying stones and stuff like that. I really used to enjoy that. So I would always be at site, and that's how my interest in real estate developed. Yes.
So now after now, there are times you're following your granddad, but the times now you're within yourself now as a young man growing, and then what type of a student were you in class?
In student, of course, for me, is more of a focus. Whenever I focused, I performed very well. Whenever I joked, I
That was
flopped.
it.
So for me, it's a matter of focus. There's a time I really, whenever I put my mind onto something, I really give it 100% till it happens. I mean, I don't take distractions. I focus on what I want. Yes. Actually, when I started, maybe this will be of interest to you. Back in the village, when I was living in the village, I used to have rabbits, and I used to build the rabbit houses. They are called arches.
Arches, yeah.
Arches. So I used to build good ones. So my cousins wanted me to build for them. The neighbors started coming to me to build for them the rabbit houses. The other
What?
boys. So at some point, even at a young age of around 10 or actually below 12, I would even charge them. Of course, nothing much, like 10 shillings to buy mandasi here and there.
So by the time 10 years, you had already started construction.
Exactly.
And were your parents seeing the passion that you're having?
Yeah, of course. Of course, most of the times I spend my childhood with my grandmother, and she really, by the way, whatever she was telling me then is almost like what I see today. Yes.
So the whole thing is now maturing and coming out.
Exactly. Now it's coming out so clearly. The way she would see me in the future, she would tell me stories. The way she saw her other children, like now my father and my aunties and my uncles. So she could tell me this. In reality, we are looking at a very bright future. Just, of course, keep the focus, keep God first in your life, and you'll go far.
So you literally had people who spoke positively into your future around you.
Yes.
You've mentioned more about your grandma and your granddad, and not very much about your parents at this time. So you were basically brought up by your grandparents.
Yeah, I was brought up by grandparents.
Wazazi walikuwa wapi hiyo wakati?
Wazazi.
Eh.
You see, when you're born out of wedlock, mtoto wa kando.
Wewe ulikuwa mtoto wa kando?
Umechukua mtoto wa kando.
What is the story behind that? Because now that you're of age,
Yes.
I'm sure you've been able to get your lessons out of it.
Yes, of course. Now, when your mother and father are not together, so in the setting there in Meru, you go to your grandmother. That's the one who brings you up.
Yes.
You go to your father's side. In other areas, you go to your mother's side. But in our culture, you go to your father's side. So my grandmother, of course, now our children had already left. So I was the only one. So at some point, I was really spoiled.
I can imagine.
She loved me to death, and I loved her. Kapisa. Yani, her husband and passed on. Now that's my grandfather. All the children and left. So at some point, I was just the only one. And I mean, alikuwa ananiita bwanake. In our culture, the way you are born,
you're born his
namesake.
husband.
Yes. So literally, I was almost that. Yes.
So for the longest time, there's just the two of you.
Yeah, it's just the two of us most of the time.
Na mzee alikuwa anakuja kukuona?
Yeah, mzee alikuwa anakuja once in a while.
Once in a while.
Yes.
What were there questions that were hitting your mind at that time? Like, mbona mzee anakuja kienda?
No, of course, growing up as a kid, there's some point where I felt bad. Like, you see, I would like to see my cousins. I mean, they have their father, their mother right there. Of course, it's a big challenge. But I knew this is my situation, and I have to deal with it, and deal with it hard. Yes.
Wow. So at what point did you now, him and I now starting have conversations now, and more often starting seeing each other?
Actually, it's after I got circumcised, after I went to high school. That's when we started talking. A lot of conversation, but not much anyway. But now, just before I left, there's a point I would like to point out.
Please, sir.
When kids are growing up, let's say now you're going with one of the things which you used to disturb me. Like, let's say now you're gone somewhere to meet friends with your children, the children's of your brother or somebody. When you come and say, let's say, huyu ni mtoto wangu, anaitwa Keremi, huyu ni James, huyu ni wa uncle yangu. As a man, doing that really hurts the children. If you're a man and you're gone with the kids, take it up. These are all my children.
I hear you.
Yes, that's really sumbuas, especially now. Like, let's say you don't have your mother around, your father around. Then, huyu ni wangu first born, huyu ni second born. Na ule ni wa ndugu wangu mwingine. That really hurts.
Wow. And I'm pretty. I can only imagine how traumatic that could have been, man. Kwa sababu unaonekana tu ni kama wewe ni wa shosho. So hao wengine wako na wazazi, wewe ni wa shosho. Wewe ni wa shosho. Did old man ever come to visit you in high school?
Yeah. Once in a blue moon. He used to take me to school. Of course, school fees nanini. He used to take care of his business. Yeah, but I can say my grandmother and my auntie played the biggest role. And my uncles. Yes.
Now, Mwenda has now finished high school. What next? You've now put down your last ink on your last paper. So now from here, what next now? What next?
Okay, now when I finished high school, I had 3 of us. I had applied at George Washington University in Atlanta, Georgia. Then I had applied, I was called at this University of Nairobi. Then I had applied at Utalii College. So actually, almost the letters came at the same time. So when my MSA looked at these letters, so the one for George Washington, America, cost, kijana ataweza potelea huko. I need him to start somewhere. Then number 2, kaona hii university. And of course, at some point, I was a wild kid. Jamaa ataenda kurusha mo huko Nairobi.
It's UN.
UN. So came now the letter for Utalii College. Utalii College, of course, it was cheaper. I get used to Nairobi. I get to know about life. Then I go outside.
But was Utalii aligning with your passion? I mean,
no.
It was matters of hospitality.
By the way, I never thought of, even after Utalii, I never practiced what I studied even
what did you
for
study?
a day. Travel operations.
Oh my goodness.
Travel operations. So it was not my thing at all. Actually, most of the African children, they just find themselves somewhere because it's the only opportunity available at that particular time. Not about what you like, what your passion is. But I don't regret. Since Utalii, one of the things which I learned is courtesy, dealing with people, and presenting yourself. Now, kuishi na watu mzuri. It's hospitality. You have to be nice. Otherwise, you can't be in that business.
You have to. Utalii is about being nice. That one for sure.
You have to be very courteous and hospitable in one or the other. So that bit I learned very well, and I believe the skills I learned there helped me even up to today in business. So it was never a waste of time.
It was never a waste of time.
Yeah. So after Utalii College, when I was just about to clear.
Sorry to cut you short. Hii wakati wa utalii ndio unajitafuta. Hapa unatembea tu kivyako ama machachari wa kijana hujaanza. Going out, girlfriends here and there.
Of course hiyo ilikuwa. Hiyo ni kawaida.
Huyo dem ulikuwa naye hiyo time ndio mami sahi ama ndio mama Vanessa ama hiyo time kuna kamtu kalikuwa hapo.
Actually, Mama Vanessa, we met at Utalii College.
You met at Utalii College?
Utalii College. But then we were...
Immediately ama baadaye?
No, she came later. She was 1 year behind me. So, but then we were not dating or anything like that. Nile too, she's from same area. She's from Yolo, so we know each other. Abariako. But I didn't know. From the word go, she had intentions. Kwa hivyo inakaa alinipangia kitambo.
So you say it looks like she's the one where it was plotting the whole thing. So she saw you before you saw her.
I can say so.
How did we get to this? How did we get to this?
So now, afterwards, after Utali College, of course, I graduated. I worked for Air France for a while. Yeah. Even on my graduation day, I was in Paris for training. When I did my internship, I really impressed my bosses there.
Nice.
So they gave me a job in military. So when I finished my training in France, I came back, then started, of course, working for the airline at the airport, JKIA. At almost 1 year and a half, they announced they are closing down their airline, their passenger flights. So now I thought, what the hell will I do next? And I didn't want to maybe get another job. I didn't want. I was looking more into expanding. Of course, as an ambitious kid, at the airport, I thought, who was the coolest person in this airport? And the way I saw the pilots with their uniforms, pulling bags, with the air hostesses following them.
My very good friends. Suitcase.
Suitcase. So I found this very cool. So I decided I want to be a pilot.
Okay. This whole time, kuna kitu naninyima bwana CEO. Because because with this generation, there's our ladies are in conflict, and I want to call it self-conflict, of either standing by a man who has a vision and who is starting from the bottom, vis-a-vis getting a man who is already made. Wewe, hii by the time unaingia utalii, unaishi wapi kwanza?
Niko naishi Utalii College.
Ndani? Kwa hostel?
Yes, kwa hostel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wewe ulikuwa naishi hostel?
Yes.
Okay. Na pia anaishi hostel? Alikuwa
naishi hostel, yes. Lakini hatukuwa tuna date then. No.
Wewe ulikuwa tu ni makugaragara huko. Wewe pia unaangalia mambo yako.
I'll come to that. Yes, it will come even juicy. It will become even juicy.
Because I really want that to come out.
Okay.
Because I mean, look at her now. I mean, she literally, I want to believe now, she lives in a much better place. Life is even way much better than what it was at that time. But I want the students of Lesson Authority to understand that there's actually trueness and genuinity in actually standing together and by each other from the bottom and getting to the top together.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Yes. Okay, now I decided now I want to do piloting.
Yes.
So I applied for some schools in America. Lucky enough, now I had some friends who were in Utalii College.
Yes.
Who had gone through a Disney program to Orlando, Florida.
Oh, yes.
So I had that network there in Orlando, Florida. So I applied for a school, Orlando Flying School. They called me. I went to America. I landed in Orlando. Actually, after a while, I started my school. After a while, I realized, seriously, this is not my thing.
After how long?
After almost 6 months.
After 6 months, you realize you don't want to fly flights anymore.
Yeah, I know this is not me. This was an influence from the airport, from working at the airport, and deciding which is the coolest thing in the airport.
Yeah.
So I had stepped out of my line for a while. So now going there, I finished my PPL, private piloting license, and I knew I'm done. Of course, when in America, you work in many jobs.
Exactly.
You do manual jobs,
What kind of weird jobs did you do?
Actually, one of the...
Mi nilikuwa nimeitwa job ya kutembeza dogi. Saa 10 jioni. And my ego could not allow me. I was like, I'm going to kick this dog out of this place. You ain't go. Get peace over there.
So one of my early jobs, there's a time I worked as a dishwasher in a seafood restaurant.
Where?
So, Red Lobster.
Alafu nyumbani wanangoja uwatumie.
Of course. Wanangoja
utumie
dollars.
Na wajui huko umekazana unangoja
unaosha vyombo. So I did that for a while. Actually, even up today, I don't like seafood due to that experience. It was traumatizing. So after a month, I got promoted to a buzzer. You know what a buzzer means? Ule mtu wa kupangusa mesa.
So now promotion, kuosha masahani, kupanguza meza,
to waiter. Then nikakuwa waiter sasa. Toka hapa nikafanya hapo kidogo, nikatoka. Then I heard of an opportunity of a bellman. Just next door, actually, not far from where I was working. Then, see, a bellman, yule mtu anabeba bags from, you know what a bellman
yes,
is. Bellman is a better name. Anapaswa kuitwa nini? Ni loader ama ni conductor ama ni
hizo matuku transfer like yeah, more like a loader. Yes.
Basically getting the bags out of the guest car to the reception, checking in and
yes,
to the room.
Mpaka wapadishe juu. Yes.
Yes. So that one, of course, I perfected it for a while and I really liked it. The tips were very good. Especially these guys, they liked my accent. They come from the interior of America. So when they come there, they hear somebody with an accent. They are really excited. Wow. Then with my badge, they would read the name Mwenda. Then they are very curious. What does it mean? Mwenda, they try to pronounce it. In fact, many of the people, many of my guests, they wrote that name. When I explained the meaning, Mwenda means love.
Yes.
So they tell, please write it to me. I'll call my child that. So there are so many Mwendas there in America.
Mama Vanessa, I hope anajua. Sifika kwa fikire ni wako ati, this is called Jason Mwenda.
So now, just to get back to Vanessa, now we came. Now, my other job now, I used to work in a petrol station, 7-Eleven.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So as I was working at this 7-Eleven, I see two ladies coming in, just from nowhere. So what they were coming to look for a job. And at the time I was the boss at that particular petrol station. So I come, I see this lady. These are familiar, these are people I know.
You're still in Colorado right now?
I was in Orlando, yes.
Now you're in Orlando?
Yes.
You're now a manager 7-Eleven petrol station.
Exactly.
Two ladies walk in.
Walk in, yes.
One is familiar.
Yes.
This is beautiful. I'm waiting for the story.
Then now, of course, when they were walking in, you know, there with the air conditioning inside, so the windows get misty. So I was outside cleaning the windows so that it's clear, people can see what we are selling on the inside. Wow. So as they were walking in now, she tells me, as they were walking in, she was telling her friend, I want a job, but not that kind of a job that guy is doing. So
ouch.
So they come in. Allah, who is this? We came to know, now we know each other. Of course, we're in the same college, but I didn't know she's coming to America. I mean, it was not planned.
It was the weirdest of
Just
places.
weirdest.
I mean, what are the chances?
Yeah, so now we connected. What you want? You want a job? Blah, blah, blah. We agreed. Then we exchanged numbers. Then, of course, we went on a date. Then when we went on a first date, she came with her 5 friends. Sema kupigwa dent.
I have never understood this thing of 5 friends. Your first date, she came with 5 friends?
5.
What was on your mind at that time?
In my mind, I knew my pocket is going south.
Where was it? Was it McDonald's, Papa John's?
No, actually.
Bahama Breeze?
No, actually, when they came, I took them for dinner at Universal Studios.
Hey, my
There's
brother,
some restaurant there.
You had money. You had money.
Actually, I took them for dinner, for a movie, and we went club after.
5 of them?
Yes.
Were you enjoying it this time? Or you're just like, Ona vile wanatwak. Nimebakisha $1. Usitwak sana wewe. What?
So, I mean, it was tough, but there was something. I felt, kuna kitu. So after a while, of course, we started dating. And then now, where she lived, by the way, I think that's what got me. They say the best route to a man is through his stomach.
Yes.
I agree with that. Since now, when I used to visit her, she used to make these nice chapatis. Kwa hivyo nikapata na kula chapati. I'm still eating chapatis 22 years later.
Bro, yani uliingia box na chapo.
Kapisa.
So now you guys have started dating and
Yes, dating. So actually now, then I moved now from Orlando to Dallas. So I started working there actually in a construction site, transport. See, I'm a hustler. So by the end of the day, she moved to Dallas. We started living together for a while. After a while, we had our firstborn, Jordan, who is 18 years old now. And I mean, we have been together. We work together. You know, before when we met, she was working for some hotels and stuff like that. But but now when I started my business, and I know she's a hard worker, and she's really focused, and I wouldn't want her working for another man. So she joined me. So we started the journey. So we have been working together now for almost 20 years.
20 years.
20 years, yes.
What now? Because now you've spent some time in Orlando, then now Dallas. So now Mr. and Mrs. Thuranira decide, let's go back home. Ni nini ilifanyika hiyo siku ya kuamua kwamba tunarudi nyumbani, by the way?
No, vilifika and planned to stay in America for 5 years.
Okay.
But now here I find myself 8 years later, still in America. And at that time I got homesick. I got tired of it. I said, now, this one I have to go back home. And again, then now my business, I was in real estate there. And the year 2006, 2007, real estate started going down. So I knew now it's either I change my career or I change my venue. Of course, with the experience I had had there, and while I was working there, I used to invest back at home. I plots, buildings, apartments, and all that. And there's one project which was incomplete in Mombasa. So I decided now it's time to go back. So I came back first, of course, to set up the base, finish up the project. And then after maybe 1 year is when now they joined me. Now Jordan and Vanessa.
So they were born in Kenya?
No,
or all of them?
No, the firstborn was born in America.
In America.
Yes, Jordan is American.
Kwa hivyo kitu ikifanyika sahi Kenya, wanakujia Jordan.
Wanakujia Jordan. Lakini sasa ameishi Kenya for long, so he came when he was 2 years old.
So he's already a cast. He's us.
Yes. Hata atweng kama wewe.
Unasema na tu usishout. So now let's now get into now you have come back home. You're now picking up the investments that you what did they all just sprout out and become successful? What is your first investment and how much did you put into it?
Okay, so now I go to Mombasa. There's this particular project I was doing, Rose Apartments. I was building them in Mombasa. I had finished one block, so I was finishing the second block. So when I came back, I had a lot of time as I supervised the project and go around and see what other people are doing. So I used to visit properties every day. I used to move around with agents. I've moved around with almost all the agents of Mombasa then. So I was doing my research, trying to understand where the challenges are. And as I figured out, almost everybody told me, we can build, we have land, we have the money to build, but where's the market? Who are we building for? And I heard from so many people. So I came to realize in this particular market, there's a problem. And as an entrepreneur, I know whenever there's a problem, that's where the opportunity lies. So I knew my entry point to this market is through, if I want to do it big, if I don't want to face the same challenges others are facing, we have to create a channel for marketing real estate.
Okay.
So that's why when we came up with MySpace properties. In fact, before I had even an office, I had a big billboard at the Nyari Bridge with my number there. Houses for sale. Where?
Before you put up an office?
Yes.
Well, you don't like an office because of like a billboard kwanza.
A billboard kwanza.
What is going through your mind at this time? I mean, this should be one of the most craziest ventures into business. Others look for a location, look for staff, then start marketing. You went for a billboard first.
I knew the biggest problem in Mombasa was a market. So why do I need an office when I don't have a market? When I don't have a critical mass to open an office? You need the people.
I hear you.
You need the market. And without the market, then what are you doing? You need to have business to start setting up the structures for that business. Not the other way around. Not when you have structures and no business. That's working upside down.
I like
it
that.
Can't work.
Just repeat that again. That's a very deep lesson. That's a very deep lesson. You need the business.
You need the business and then set structures around a business. Not setting structures for a business which does not exist.
Oof. Business entrepreneurs, I hope you're hearing what Mr. Thuranira is saying.
Yes. So I had a billboard at Nyari Bridge with my number there. Of course, many people would call. Somebody would call, could I speak to the marketing manager? I'm there. Could I speak to your boss? I'm there. Could I speak to the salesperson? I'm there.
I'm there.
That was everything. And I knew if I wanted to be successful, I need to understand all the facets of business. So within no time, now with the billboard, I started now getting contacts, getting connections. Oh, you sell houses? Yes, I have a house. The biggest challenge in Mombasa, now whenever somebody give me a house to sell, then I am selling this house, but I don't want people to know. And I'm like, now how am I going to sell your house? Ukiuza watu watasema nimefilisika.
Africans and our mentality. Yeah. So now, but the business now starts growing.
Yes, now the business starts growing. Now, actually, I looked among all the agents I'd gone with when I was looking for properties, when I was going around. I thought, who was the nicest? Who was the best? Who served me best?
Service.
Who served me best? And this one guy called Philip Chai. Now, this is the guy who served me best. I called him up. Told him, I'm starting a company and I want you to be my first staff. And even he didn't give it a thought. He didn't even ask what will I be doing or what. He came, 20 cars. Then we started, of course, making signages for sale, to let, blah, blah, blah. And we started with our own property. Managing and letting our own property.
Rose Apartments.
Yeah, Rose Apartments. So from that, actually my wife joined me. Then we continued. But there's also another very interesting story.
Please.
Here.
Please.
Now, as I had a billboard, I didn't have an office to meet guys.
Yes.
So now, at this time in the morning, around 10 o'clock, I'm at there's a place called Keno, near opposite Bob's. There's a petrol station there.
Yes.
That's
next to it's now 001. That time it was probably, I think, Sheba.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's Nyamachoma joint right there. So I was meeting a client there at 10 in the morning. Then there is this friend of mine, actually more of a family friend for a long time. Then as I was waiting for the client, he comes. He told me, how are you? Yes. What are you doing in a bar in the morning?
Bob's used to, but Bob's masaa yake ilikuwa ni mchana.
Yes, lakini ilikuwa Bob's ilikuwa opposite. It was more calmer, more cooler.
Relax.
I mean, you could have your soda, pole relaxing. So the client said he would want to meet at Keno. So sawa. I went there. So this guy walks in and he finds me there. I told him, what are you doing here in a bar in the morning? I told him, I'm waiting for a client. He's like, you can't be serious. How can you be waiting for a client in a bar? What kind of a business is that? Then he told me, in fact, in my office, I have a space, I have a desk. Just start there, please. I don't want to see you sitting in bars waiting for
Doing
clients.
business.
There's no business like that. I mean, you have to sit somewhere where you plan your thoughts well, you plan your job, you meet your people. That's the only way you can grow. So, voila. The next day I was in his office, my desk right there, with my Philip chai.
Did you meet this client?
Eh?
Did you meet this
No,
client?
I met that client.
Bado
Yes.
kwa bado.
Hapo
Hii
kwa ba.
ulisema wacha niseme
Tulimalizane sababu sikuwa
Eh.
na ofisi, sikuwa na nini.
Ilitoa pesa?
Eh?
Ilitoa
Yeah,
pesa?
of course. I was very lucky when I started. All my first dealings went very well. I mean, it also excited people in Mombasa since nobody had put billboards to sell properties in Mombasa. It was an handoff. So it was our doing. So with time, of course, now, as I told you, Vanessa came in, we started working together. I got her office in town in Ambara, Laos. Then now we started from there. Then I set up a team, and I knew now to expose this Mombasa market to more people. Since I realized people asking for holiday homes, retirement homes,
Yes.
can I get a beach plot? And most of inquiries were coming from Nairobi. So I had to find a way of creating that market. So with MySpace properties, I always used to come here for exhibitions, for expos, to showcase what we have in Mombasa. So at some point I decided, why can't we have an expo in Mombasa? That's where we started the Mombasa Homes Expo at White Sands, which we did actually 16 of them for a while, which now brought all the network, all the property dealers came.
That's what
they were in my
there's a
hands.
congregation of real estate.
Exactly. Hata wale my agent walikuwa wameficha walijileta wenyewe. So I had all of them. Then after a while, we started the Unique Homes magazine, which now was distributed all over, and it really created the market. And the one thing I'm happy about is when the Mombasa real estate history will be written, Mwenda Thuranira will feature somewhere.
Congratulations on that. Congratulations on that.
And another thing, of course, the people working in the industry, the main companies running in Mombasa now, these are the people, these are my former employees. These are the people who passed through my hands.
And you release them now
Of
to
course.
stand on their own.
They stand on their own.
Let me ask, and during that time, as a budding young real estate entrepreneur, what are the mistakes you think people do generally when starting up businesses? What are the mistakes people do that you probably might have seen as you were starting up at that time?
Okay, there's one which is of analyzing thing, of analysis paralysis. When you analyze things too much, if you can't move, and there's sometimes you just have to do it.
Amuka fanya.
Sio kusema, kuongea, kupanga meetings, unending meetings, consultations. Unaenda kutafuta consultant, vitu kama hizo. These things you learn on the job.
Yes, sir.
They're the best. And of course, when you get team members, like for example, if I'm hiring somebody for a certain role, they have to know more than me on what they are hiring them for. So in fact, they become your teachers.
So you don't feel insecure in any kind of way when you hire? Because I normally hear there's always a joke around that the reason at times why people don't get their jobs because you cannot go with a master's degree in a room full of only interviewers who only have degrees. I mean, why am I going to hire? Because you're going to take my position. So I'm not. So you have now felt insecure probably of hiring staff that are more vast.
Yes.
In a certain.
More educated, more experienced. And I mean, they know more than I know. That's the only way you can be successful. Otherwise, me, I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, we're not competing in what they're doing.
Exactly.
And if they can do better, the better for the business.
Why not?
So why not? Why should I be insecure because of that?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So now how do we move now to Nairobi?
Oh, okay. Now, of course, with time after spending 8 years in Mombasa, now we have done a lot of projects. We have been involved in so many projects. In fact, all the key projects in Mombasa have been involved in one way or the other. So now, came in almost 11 years ago, Naivas supermarket I approached them in Nairobi. I told them, why are you not in Mombasa? And they told me, Mombasa, logistical, nini. We don't have a location. We have been trying. We have not been successful in getting a good site. Wow. Me and I always think whenever there's a problem, that's where the opportunity lies.
Wherever there's a problem,
yes.
that is where the opportunity lies.
Exactly. Come up with solutions, and that's where you find money. So now I go to Mombasa. I start talking to landlords. How can we house neighbors in Mombasa? Many landlords, of course, were very skeptical. They didn't know what neighbors is. And neighbors, by then, they had almost maybe like 12 branches, very few branches. So they never knew who was. So I talked to many landlords, and they didn't want to risk. I mean, they were thinking of the Uchumis, of
Kind
the,
of a fall down.
Yes, of the Nakumats and stuff like that as the anchor tenant.
Yes.
So at some point, where neighbors is at the Nyari Center, I managed to convince the landlord, you take these guys. I mean, it's somebody I'd worked with on some other business, so he trusted me. So I told him, this one, just gamble with me. You won't go wrong.
Trust me on it.
Trust me on this one. And of course, they had given an offer letter to Uchumi, which had expired. So that was our entry point. So Uchumi was taking 30,000 square feet. Neighbors comes here, they say they're taking 70,000 square feet.
That's the whole place.
No, the place is big. It's 300,000 square feet. So almost 30%. Actually, less than 30%.
Yes.
So now I convinced the landlord, give these guys 70,000 square feet. Of course, looking at what it is, somebody who is ready to commit to 70,000 square feet, it's a gamble.
It's a gamble.
It's a big gamble. But the beauty of it, the beauty of the ups and downs of it. Now, when we had agreed with the landlord in Mombasa, now the neighbors guys were like, hey, this is big. It's a new market for us. What do we do? Would we survive? Nini. Then I built a case around it. How will it be successful? Where the buyers will come from. Of course, from Bamburi, Mtwapa, people going all the way to Malindi.
Yes.
They will stop there to shop. People living in Nyali. Of course, with their prices and everything, I knew they would be. In my mind, it was very clear. These guys will be successful.
This thing will work out.
So they got convinced. The landlord got convinced. So we brought in Naivas to Mombasa. That was the first one. And actually, I came to know it was their biggest store in a mall.
Later on.
Yes.
Comparing the rest in terms of structure.
Compared to what they have, the size compared to what they had in Nairobi, it was their biggest. And it ended up being their most successful store. Even up to today, it's the number one performing.
Nice one.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So now with that experience of now dealing with neighbors, now I got the mother stores in Ukunda, in town, in all other places in Mombasa. Now in Coast Region, they have 12 stores. So,
from that just one?
Yeah, from just one. So when I was working with the neighbors, they were telling me, now you serve as well in Mombasa.
Yes.
Why not Nairobi? Then I had in back on my mind, I knew there's a need for mini malls in Kenya.
Yes.
So that's when I started building the idea. Now I have the supermarket, I understand their need. I have the landlords of these malls, I understand their needs. I know all the challenges and I know all the problems. Now it's for me to come up with solutions for those problems. And the only solution I saw is mini malls. And then that's how my town was born.
And it's such a beautiful structure. I don't know. What are the aspects? What are the factors as we almost finish? What are the factors that and using the Naivas construction and my town construction? What are the most important relevant factors one should always look at when you're setting up maybe building or constructing, especially in real estate? What are the things that one should really pay attention to?
Of course.
That most of the time people probably ignore, probably are ignorant towards.
Okay, of course, in any real estate projects, number one is always location. That's number one. Then number two, when you have the right location, for example, for a shopping center, a minimal, or our modernized kiosk like my town.
I like the way you call it, a modernized kiosk. I like the way you call it like that.
Yes. Basically, that's what we are. A modernized kiosk. It's a kiosk on heels.
What for Karen was scared.
So, of course, and in the retail business, it works left side on the way home. That's rule number one of retail. Left side on the way home. When people are going home is when they go shopping, especially
Left
supermarkets.
side.
Yes.
Okay, I never realized that. Okay, now that I'm learning it.
If you look, let's say go Thika Road. If you look, the businesses which thrive there on the left, especially in retail. TRM, I can say, is more successful than Garden City. Why? Because it was on the right side. It's on the left side on the way home.
I've not learned. This whole thing is psychology.
Even Mombasa, look at Mombasa Road. All the petrol stations, they're on the left side.
Yes.
People fuel when they are going to Mombasa. And they are actually, Mombasa Road is one of the most profitable routes for petrol stations. Because people put full tank.
All the way, yes.
Yes. And now if you put it on the right side, nobody will look at the road and then come back to the road.
Nobody's going to do that. Nobody has time.
Especially now, even like for retail, for shopping, for supermarket. You see, for the ladies are the 80% consumers. Actually, that's why in our consulting team, we have ladies who criticize our designs. Since we are building for them, 80% they are the ones who come to shopping every day. When you tell a lady to get out of the road, make a right, wait for cars, make a right, go inside, do shopping, then come wait for cars on this side, then on this other side to make a right, I'm telling you, she'd rather go to a kiosk ahead, chana na supermarket yako.
So left.
So you have
so
to
one
left,
location.
Anaingia na shop, anatoka, anaendelea na safari yake. I mean, convenience is what we sell and what we want to provide. Providing convenience. That is very key to this retail. Like my town, you see, we don't have gates, we don't have charge parking. It's open. I mean, convenience is our key selling point.
Wow. What does the future look like for you? What does the future look like for you as you finish?
As I finish, of course, the future, nobody knows the future. Only God.
True that.
But the reality now, the vision is bigger. We want to do like 50 of my towns. We want to have more partners on board, especially more retailers. Now I work with, of course, Naivas is my main one, but I work with Chandarana, I work with Carrefour, I work with Quickmart, I work with oil dealers like Total. You've seen them at my town. Yes. I work with Shell, Ola, and I mean, all the petrol stations.
All the energy companies.
Rubies. I work with all of them. And of course, with that time working, providing spaces for neighbors, I provided almost half of spaces of neighbors in Kenya.
Whoa.
Yes.
You have really become a guru in the game.
So now with that network, now we are able to do more and we can open. Like the way you told me you want my town in Kakamega.
Yes.
So we need to visit, do a site visit. Remember, I told you location is
location,
number one.
Location.
Left side on the way home. You've gotten the homework right.
And now I understand, because now, since you say that, I'm also trying to understand.
Yes.
But of course, with the intricacies of Kakamega is very central.
Yes.
We have Busia guys coming from the border, pouring into Kakamega. We have guys coming from Kitale, Eldoret, passing through Kakamega. We have guys coming from Kapsabet and Nandi Hills into Kakamega. And then the guys going from Kisumu into Kakamega. So I'm also trying to understand, because either way, the four coast roads are all almost equally as busy. But I know Mumias Road should be our busiest. I know. So I'm also just trying to think from the lessons that you've taught us how to place a business strategically.
Yes. Location is key. Now, how it works well, like, let's say, which is the main exit to from Kakamega town, where people come to work every day. The main exit route to where people live. So left side, that's where to get the location.
One last tip
Yes.
to general entrepreneurs.
To entrepreneurs, of course, as we said, just sometimes you just have to do it. Don't worry of what you don't know. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, you can even hire people to teach you. You can hire people to do a certain job.
Have the confidence.
Yes, who have the confidence to do it. You can't be everything, and you can't do everything by yourself. You need to formulate a team, train them well, motivate them well, and make sure they're ready for the field. Then with that one, of course, it will happen. But remember, business is like a baby. You have to babysit it every day. Every day.
Check after eat,
Yeah,
give it milk, feed into it,
exactly.
speak into it.
Exactly. So if it's your business, remember it's your business. You have to take care of your business. And that one is just focusing some more and looking outside. What other problem people are experiencing? How can you solve it? For example, now when I came up with the idea of my town, I went to almost all the banks to finance me for a project, and they turned me down, all of them. I went even to Nairobi Stock Exchange and listed and I booked a program, and nobody will lend me the money. So after doing it for 1 year, they told me, now we have our paperwork ready, let's go to the bank. And I'm like, now we have worked all this time. I came from the banks before I came to NSE. You're taking me
You
back
want to
there.
send me back there.
So of course it was a challenge, but there's one thing which happened. Now, as I was looking for funding from different sources, going to many places, I remembered a friend of mine. I called him up. I set up a meeting. We met, and I asked him, "I need a connection. Connection for what?" I told him I need some money. I told him, "How much money that you need connection?" I told him I need like 20 billion Kenya shillings.
20 million.
20 billion.
20 billion.
Yes.
You want to, are you okay? You are looking for connection to get
To get the 20 billion.
Of course. Unamsema tafuta connection ya concerts za December.
So when I told him 20 billion, now he removed his glasses and told me, "Kijana, 20 billion upeleke wapi? Are you okay?" So I explained to him a concept. No, at first I didn't want to tell her, since I know my friend is a big time developer. I didn't want people running away with my idea. But one thing I remembered, nobody can steal your vision.
It's your vision.
It's your vision, that's for sure. So we sit down. I explained to him within 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, he stood up and told me, shake my hand. This when we are together. Ule mtu ulikuwa unatafuta ndiye huyu.
He had 20 billion.
Walking the journey together. Sometimes you don't have to have it.
Who are my friends? You know, you're now becoming my friend by force, bonus after this. I wonder, I'll call it, I want a connection. Ni mita tano tu. Kabia Ofweneke. Fungua M-Pesa. So this was the connection you were actually looking for the 20 billion.
Yes, but now one of the things now in business, I always ask myself, I have finished almost six years. No, after the concept, let's say now 5 years. Being turned down by all the banks, being turned by all the financial, NSE, other investors. Nobody really understood this idea. And the way it was so clear in my mind. I have spent 5 years looking for this particular person. And here I'm seated with a friend, somebody I knew for over 10 years. I have his number. We have been talking. We know each other. Mimi nimesahau naenda kumangamanga huko banki na nini na nini.
Na ndiye huyu hapa.
Na ndiye huyu.
At times the closest help is close to you.
Close to you. 5 minutes.
The help that you need.
And it took me 5 minutes. And the other time I was doing presentations to investors, banks, blah, 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 bank managers, bank CEOs. But yeah, he bought the idea. And now that's where we came up with our pilot project, My Town Karen. And now we are into we have 6 on the channel, Upper Hill, Juja, Wayakiwe. We're working one in Nanyuki. and so many other places.
Do you know how many 20 billions you're talking about as a measure? But I need to rethink my life. This podcast I am doing. What?
So now, I mean, it's true. We have a bigger vision for it, and it's something we really want to grow, even beyond Kenya. If we can do it, why not? It's working all over the world.
Yes, it is.
It's working in America, in China, in South Africa. I mean, all over the world, we have these minimums. Why not Kenya? And if people to embrace is the supermarket, the petrol stations, they are ready to embrace the
pharmacies and the rest.
Yes. So we're able to put up all the facets together. We build it, we populate, and we sell it to investors. We do the heavy lifting.
I have learned. I've picked up some good lessons on matters entrepreneurship.
Yes.
I have learned the on your left theory. It is now making sense to me. Just wake up and do it.
Yes.
And also, I think the most important that is really coming out even as at the end as we finish is at times the help that you need is more closer than you think.
It's within. The resources are always within us. We are the ones who look far outside.
And do we? Ladies and gentlemen, Lessons at 30. Episode 1, Season 2, hosting the one and only the CEO, MySpace Properties, My Town, as you've heard, and of course, the visionary behind MySpace Foundation. Live on the show, Mr. Mwenda Thuranira. Thank you so much, sir. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for the wisdom nuggets.
Thank you so much.
I'm pretty sure the seed has been planted in the most relevant of lands that was listening.
Yes.
Please make sure, of course, you subscribe to Dr.Ofweneke TV. Let's get no more. You don't have an idea of who I have installed next on the next episode. Of course, keep on subscribing and comment down there. Of course, always make sure you know the trend is. You make sure you comment with the lesson that you have learned. Now, all ambao to join, welcome and karibu sana. I have seen guys that are joining us all the way from the US, from the UK. I'm seeing even guys who are not really Kenyans who are watching the show. I saw there was some guy, there was a lady from Ethiopia. I remember there was somebody from South Africa, especially to be specific from Cape Town. There was somebody from Botswana. I just want to say asanteni sana. Thank you so much. And I don't want to forget the guys who watch from Gulf. Saudi Arabia, and all those countries where in diaspora guys who have gone for labor work who are Kenyans. You've also been a very big part, of course, of growing the numbers of Lessons at 30. Asante sana, and we pray that God will bless you, God will protect you wherever you are. Those sides as you're trying to look to fend for your families. Thank you so much for watching. See you again on the next one. This is the Lessons at 30. My name is the Eagle himself, the Duke of Kakamega. Dr.Ofweneke is my name. Asante sana once again.
Thank you so much.
Much appreciated.
Much appreciated.
God, this is my town. I know the honor. Guys, see you on the next one. Asante sana.
Thank you.